and News Channel 8's Linnie reports tonight from Bradenton.
A very devastating situation. We took her complaints to the property managers of Venture Rental Apartments. They said they are aware about the situation, but no word on a solution. And tonight, there's worry conditions are getting worse. Tonight, roof damage from Milton's Wrath on full display. High winds ripped the shingles off Kimberly Alexander's Bradenton apartment, leaving this gaping hole in her bedroom. Recover from the storm.
No, I can't.
It's been 4 weeks since the storm hit. Panels of insulation hang from the ceiling, her furniture caked with residue from drywall. And when it rains, her problems get worse, her patience wearing thin.
Even start something. Just start something to keep out the birds, keep out the bats, keep out the insects, and all of that. Just keep that out.
Kimberly called the property manager right after the storm, but the damage still hasn't been addressed.
But start something. Don't say nothing. And don't tell me nothing. Give me answers, because I deserve answers.
We tried getting answers as well, making our way to the Bayshore and Venture Rental office, but walked away with more questions. The staff says they're unable to discuss details about the site.
I told her, I'm praying for you. Something's going to happen. I'm not going to give up.
Tonight, a Good Samaritan is stepping in, but worried.
We're going to get a lot of rain, though. There's going to be mold. That's going to be even more dangerous. Diseases. There's a number of things that can happen, and it's completely unsafe.
Another day with no solution.
Fix a roof, or tarp it, or temporary fix it, because this is where we live.
We took Kimberly's concerns to the county as well. They said that the damage wasn't initially spotted during their drive-by assessment, but it's ultimately up to the property owner to make repairs. In Bradenton, Linnie 8 on your side. Good evening, Stacy. Well, from spoiled food in the fridge to water damage, residents haven't been able to recover. It's been on hold for 3 weeks. This 16-story building completely vacant. Residents scrambling to find a place to live.
Oh, goodbye, but it's just a big hit.
Tonight, James Schold torn with devastation and despair. The doors of his South Pasadena apartment complex still locked ever since Helene's relentless surge poured in. You've been homeless?
Yeah, I've been homeless for 3 weeks.
Schold paying out of pocket for hotels, but options are limited.
The first one I went to had a big sign stating not accepting FEMA vouchers. Most of us are on Social Security.
I'm like a drowning man reaching for a straw.
Hubert Hensley also in a bind, his car stagnant in the parking lot, a total loss in the flood.
You can't get in, nobody will tell you anything. I got clothes, thank God I left with my medicine that I take.
In a letter to residents, Hayes Gibson Property Services stated access to the building has been blocked off by order of the city due to lack of power and water.
Friday is fine.
Today, residents finally getting answers. They'll have a short window to get some of their items this week, but tonight, Schold still asking more questions.
Is there any idea as to whether we may be able to move back in one day?
So starting tomorrow, residents will have a 1 to 2 hour window to get some of their items. But again, without power, there's no working elevator, so they'll have to leave their furniture behind. Only 5 families will be allowed inside at a time, and they'll have to sign a waiver to get in. Yes, many will try to sell. Many may not be able to do so. So from homes to businesses like long-standing iconic restaurants like Woody's Waterfront, the daunting tasks to rebuild almost too difficult to bear, including for one woman who's lived in her St. Pete Beach home for decades.
I've lived in this house since I was 11, and now it's all got to be gutted out.
A lifetime of memories, now heaps of trash.
Everything is destroyed, going to the curb.
Jody Powell has lived in her St. Pete Beach home for more than 50 years, but just one storm destroyed everything.
My dad he's a World War II Marine veteran. He built this bar. It's solid wood. It's just flipped over. Filth came up from the sewage too.
Jody evacuated the barrier island before the hurricane, her neighbor capturing this video of her home when fast-moving floodwaters moved in, climbing 4 feet.
The waves just came in off of the 130 feet of waterfront we got in the back.
What was it like being so far away, watching the destruction and not being able to do anything about it?
You feel helpless, overwhelmed. You know, it's devastating.
The house already a financial burden, covering sky-high property taxes, a challenge.
I've had to pay just under $16,000 for 1 year. How am I going to pay that when I got all this to deal with?
Jody's future uncertain, facing more difficult decisions in the days ahead.
And I was just diagnosed with breast cancer, and just before all this hit. So it's overwhelming. It's a lot to take. You know, they say God only gives you enough that you can take. Well, I really can't take any more.
Well, criminals are actually meeting the requirements to file quitclaim deeds, but they're using fraudulent documents to do so, making it very difficult to catch.
You're on the deed?
Well, yeah, we had an agreement years ago, and we've been having
False claims caught on camera. Michelle Cherry trying to convince police she's the owner of a house that isn't hers, but her name on the deed of the property.
I'm on the current deed.
Where's the deed?
I believe I have a copy in the car.
12 days later, she's in handcuffs. She's accused of quietly stealing a house that actually belongs to the Bilbys. They've owned the home for nearly 40 years.
We were constantly on edge because they constantly returned to the home. And lo and behold, 3 o'clock on a Saturday, I said, they're there now, please go. So he went and the police went, and she very calmly said, this is my home, with my husband standing there.
The weapon is the paperwork.
State Attorney Susie Lopez says criminals are getting creative.
She changed the address on her driver's license to this home. She put the utilities in her name. At least she's looking at almost 3 centuries in prison for committing these crimes, 275 years.
But tonight, Cardassia Benson is even more worried about the possibility of black mold and how it could affect the health of her family.
In here is where the mold is.
Every step inside Cardassia Benson's Lakeland apartment comes with a stench and a sight she says is almost too much to bear. The mother of 2 grappling with growing mold that continues to seep into her clothing, walls, and carpet.
This is killing us slowly, and we're breathing this in, and that it's very toxic. Like, this is poisonous.
Now, her grandmother stepping in, calling Aid on Your Side for help.
I'm terrified over this. The boys are so young that they have to go through and breathe this stuff.
I have 2 kids disabled. I have an autistic child, and I have another child that's, he suffers seizures really bad.
Cardassia says her calls to the management company have been mishandled, so she took her complaints to code enforcement. The first violation notice to the Wilmington apartments back in August reports a black growth-like substance on the interior walls. Then, within the last month, code enforcement citing Wilmington apartments once again. This notice also reporting a black-like substance on the interior wall, surfaces, and door. I went to the Wilmington apartment leasing office during their business hours today, but the office was closed. In the meantime, Cardassia sounding the alarm about her situation, worried her living condition will continue to persist.
I thought this would have been a fresh start for me and my kids, but it's been horrible.